For 2,000 years, scholars claimed ancient civilizations couldn't calculate an exact solar year without mechanical drift. Corbin here. I've stared at Enoch's calendar so long I can calculate equinox shadows in my sleep. Only Rome erased the math. Buried inside the Book of Enoch lies a flawless mathematical grid that makes leap years obsolete. The establishment didn't ban Enoch for angels. They suppressed it because the math exposed their calendar as a sham. Let's dissect the astronomical tables that ancient empires tried to burn out of history. History books present Enoch as a mystical visionary carried into the heavens. That's the clean version. But read the actual Book of Luminaries, and the poetry disappears. What you get instead is raw mathematical data, angles, rotation intervals, and exact horizon coordinates. Enoch wasn't recording visions. He was acting as an orbital analyst in an era of hand-drawn charts. Make sure to subscribe to the channel if you want the real history behind these forbidden texts. In 3rd century Judea, controlling the calendar meant controlling the economy and religious taxation. If the priesthood controlled the month's start, they controlled when debts were due and sacrifices paid. Then, Enoch's tables dropped like a mathematical bomb into their political system. He claimed the sun moves through fixed mechanical gates, completely independent of human authority. No priest could adjust the month. No ruler could insert intercalary days for tax extortion. That made the astronomical chapters of Enoch extraordinarily dangerous to religious elites. So they didn't just reject the book. They systematically scrubbed his mathematical proofs from the canon. Modern calendars are messy. We add leap years and leap seconds just to stop the seasons from slipping. The Julian and Gregorian systems are constant patches on an imprecise foundation. Enoch presents an alternative matrix, a precise 364-day solar grid. At first glance, 364 days looks like a mathematical flaw. A solar year is roughly 365.24 days. Scholars laughed off Enoch's number for centuries, calling it primitive tribal ignorance. Only, they completely missed the structural elegance of his divisional math. Divide 364 by 7 and you get exactly 52 complete weeks, 0 remaining days. Every single year begins on the exact same day of the week, forever. Divide 364 by 4 seasons, and you get exactly 91 days per quarter. Each quarter consists of 2 30-day months, followed by one 31-day intercalary month. The Sabbath never drifts. Equinoxes align to the exact same calendar, day, year after year. There are no floating holidays, no missed leap adjustments, no administrative confusion. It is a self-contained, mathematically perfect, closed-loop solar grid. If you're finding this deep dive into ancient geometry useful, take a second to hit subscribe. So how did Enoch solve the missing 1.24 solar days without breaking the 52-week symmetry? The answer is staggering. Chapter 72 of Enoch outlines 6 eastern gates where the sun rises and 6 western gates where it sets. This isn't mythology. It's an exact horizon azimuth tracking system without modern lenses. As the year progresses, the sun shifts its rising position north and south through these numbered portals. Gate 1 marks the winter solstice, the shortest day of light. Gate 6 marks the summer solstice, where daylight reaches its maximum arc. Enoch doesn't just name the gates. He records the exact ratio of daylight to darkness for each stage. He uses an 18-part division scale to measure daily light hours. At the winter solstice, the night is 12 parts and the day is 6 parts. At the vernal equinox, daylight and darkness hit an exact 9-to-9 equilibrium. At the summer solstice, the day expands to 12 parts, while night shrinks to 6. These 18-part proportions match the actual latitude of the Mediterranean region with stunning precision. Whoever wrote down these gate tables wasn't guessing from a tent in the desert. They were analyzing systematic empirical data recorded over decades of direct horizon observation. If you appreciate this level of historical research, leave a quick like on the video. It helps beat the algorithm. No optical telescopes, no electronic timers, just pure geometry and observational discipline. Yet this precise solar tracking brought Enoch into direct collision with the lunar calendars of the ancient world. Most ancient empires, from Babylon to early Jerusalem, steered their societies by the moon. A lunar year has roughly 354 days across 12 lunar cycles. Notice the gap? A 354-day lunar calendar falls 10 days short of Enoch's 364-day solar grid every single year. In 3 years, that deficit compounds to a massive 30-day drift. Harvest festivals start occurring in winter. Plantings fail. Agricultural collapse threatens the state. To fix this, lunar societies had to manually insert an entire extra leap month every few years. That extra month was announced by human decree. It was arbitrary, political, and corruptible. Enoch explicitly condemns the lunar system in chapter 74 as a dangerous calculation error. He writes that those who follow the moon will alter the seasons and get the holy days wrong. To Enoch, the moon was an unstable clock that seduced humanity into ritual chaos. The sun was the only steady baseline set by the Creator's laws. This wasn't just a theological dispute over moon versus sun. It was an economic war. Whoever controlled the calendar controlled the legal agricultural trade cycles. And Enoch's fixed 364-day model threatened to strip that political power away from human courts. Just like ancient institutions controlled the calendar to drain resources, hidden costs drain your budget right under your nose. You earn a decent income, watch your major purchases, yet somehow end up wondering where half your paycheck vanished to. The truth is that you are not bad with money. You are simply not seeing all the quiet recurring leaks in your routine. I recently went through a digital book called O Vazamento Silencioso, which maps out the exact spots where money slips away. It pinpoints the 12 invisible household expenses that slowly eat your earnings month after month without you realizing. Scan the QR code on your screen right now to take a look at how to identify these silent leaks before next month. Now let's resolve the central mystery. What about the remaining day and a quarter of the true solar cycle? How does a 364-day grid account for a 365.24-day planet without drifting out of alignment over centuries? Enoch reveals 4 specific intercalary days tucked into the corners of the 4 seasons. These 4 days belong to no standard month. They act as astronomical hinges between quarters. Each intercalary day marks a solar solstice or equinox transition point. In Enoch's system, these days are overseen by 4 specific stellar leaders called astronomical chiefs. These aren't mythic entities. They represent cardinal astronomical points in the sky. By separating these 4 seasonal transition days from the 360 monthly days, the mathematical grid stays intact. 360 days of regular calendar time plus 4 cardinal intercalary days equals exactly 364 days. To handle the tiny remaining fractional drift over long cycles, Enoch's keepers use sabbatical jubilee years. Every 49 years, a sabbatical leap adjustment resynchronized the 364-day grid to the exact tropical year. No messy annual leap days needed. The grid ran with pristine mathematical predictability. If you've ever felt the calendar system we use today is completely arbitrary, comment grid below. It was an astounding leap in mathematical calendar design, centuries ahead of European astronomy. Yet when high priests in Jerusalem saw this table, they realized it declared their whole calendar illegal. To understand where this grid came from, we have to look at how Enoch claimed he received it. He did not call it a divine vision or a mystical dream. He recorded it as raw telemetry dictated by an entity named Uriel. Uriel showed him the exact velocity of stellar bodies passing through coordinate markers. Every night watch was broken into precise mathematical intervals with zero room for error. The text lists 43 distinct celestial positions recorded in uniform degrees. Ancient scribes treated these chapters like a practical navigation manual for ship captains. Except this manual was calculating atmospheric angles across entire solar cycles. If you enjoy unearthing lost historical records like this, hit subscribe right now. Uriel did not offer symbolic parables. He dictated raw numbers. Numbers that allowed an observer to predict exact solar placement without modern lenses. Only, priest elites quickly realized this telemetry ruined their authority. Because if the stars followed an unchangeable grid, priestly decrees meant nothing. So they locked Uriel's numbers away and declared the entire book corrupt. For centuries, critics claimed Enoch's 364-day calendar was merely a late medieval forgery. Until 1947, when Bedouin shepherds stumbled into the caves of Qumran. Inside those clay jars lay the actual manuscripts of the Dead Sea Scrolls, and among them were multiple copies of the Book of Enoch's astronomical chapters. If this video is shedding light on erased history, leave a quick like to help spread it. The Essene community at Qumran had intentionally broken away from the Jerusalem temple. Why? Because Jerusalem was using a lunar calendar, corrupting holy feast days. The Qumran scribes strictly followed Enoch's solar calculation instead. Their scrolls proved Enoch's solar grid was not a fringe theory. It was an ancient orthodoxy. Every feast fell on the exact same day of the week, every single year without fail. Never a Sabbath clash, never an estimated moon sighting. The Essenes saw the temple's lunar shifts as outright rebellion against creation. They buried these texts to protect the mathematical truth from destruction. And those preserved fragments forced modern historians to admit Enoch was authentic. The mathematical system was not invented in the Middle Ages. It was buried in the desert, which created an explosive conflict between rival factions competing for religious control. Imagine running a national religion where no one agrees on what day today actually is. That was the reality in Jerusalem during the Second Temple period. A single day's error in calculation meant performing sacrifices on unholy dates. To Enoch's followers, high priests conducting rituals on lunar dates were committing sacrilege. It wasn't a minor theological dispute. It was a total breakdown of cosmic order. The high priest relied on witnesses watching for the faint crescent of a new moon. If clouds blocked the sky, the calendar was delayed by 24 hours. Enoch's solar system eliminated human observation entirely. It was pure predictable math. 364 days divided perfectly by 7. 52 weeks exactly. Passover always fell on a Wednesday. That meant no priest had to work on the Sabbath to prepare holy offerings. Yet temple leaders rejected it because lunar uncertainty gave them total political control. They got to declare the calendar, which meant they controlled national commerce. Adopting Enoch's fixed grid meant surrendering their power to an unchangeable formula. If this breakdown of temple authority makes sense, make sure to subscribe to the channel. Where did Jerusalem learn to abandon the solar grid for lunar cycles? Look toward Babylon. During the exile, Jewish elites were immersed in Babylonian astronomical mathematics. Babylon used a complex lunisolar system that required adding leap months periodically. It was brilliant math, but it was fundamentally fluid and required constant adjustments. The Book of Enoch stands as a direct mathematical polemic against Babylon. Enoch's text warns explicitly against adding extra days or shifting seasons based on moon phases. It insists the sun governs time, while the moon is merely an irregular secondary indicator. When returning exiles brought Babylonian lunar tables back to Judea, Enoch was branded dangerous, because his calculations exposed that the imperial calendar was an artificial human construct. The temple hierarchy chose imperial Babylonian convenience over Enochian precision. If you've ever noticed how modern calendars keep shifting, drop the word grid in the comments. That single choice split ancient worshippers into bitter warring factions. One side kept Enoch's secret solar gates. The other adopted the shifting lunar month. And as foreign empires expanded, the solar grid was buried deeper under imperial decrees, until Rome decided to rewrite time entirely. When Julius Caesar reformed the Roman calendar in 46 BC, he faced absolute chaos. The Roman year had drifted so far that harvest festivals fell in midwinter. Caesar brought in Egyptian astronomers to build a solar system of 365 days. The Julian calendar fixed the immediate chaos, but it introduced leap years to handle the extra quarter day. Notice what happened? Both Rome and Jerusalem rejected Enoch's 364-day perfection. Rome added leap days. Jerusalem added leap months. Neither empire wanted a calendar that functioned independently of imperial decree. Enoch's self-correcting solar gates left no room for politicians to manipulate time. As Greco-Roman culture swept across the Mediterranean, Hebrew texts were systematically translated. Translators in Alexandria stripped out Enoch's mathematical tables from standard collections. They kept Genesis, but erased the Book of Luminaries. By the 2nd century, Enoch's astronomical chapters were labeled obscure apocrypha. Scholars who defended the solar grid were quietly marginalized as dangerous fanatics. The 364-day mathematical system was pushed to the absolute fringes of the known world, surviving only in isolated communities who refused to let the orbital math die. To understand how Enoch tracked night watches, we must examine the Book of Luminaries. It divides the night sky into 12 exact stellar rotations across 4 seasons. Each watch was governed by a specific star leader assigned to count 30 days. Standard Babylonian tables required complex fractions to account for lunar wobble. Enoch ignored lunar wobble entirely, mapping fixed stellar points instead. This created a perfectly predictable night watch that never shifted by a single minute. Watchmen in desert towers used these exact star positions to mark the middle of the night. Without mechanical clocks, their precision matched modern sidereal tracking. If you enjoy uncovering suppressed ancient astronomy, subscribe to the channel right now. The text lists 4 chief angels overseeing the transition between seasonal shifts. These were not spiritual allegories. They acted as mathematical anchor points. By anchoring the calendar to these 4 stars, systemic drift became impossible. Mainstream scholars called these star lists mythic poetry for over a century, until astronomers plotted the exact coordinates and realized they perfectly matched the horizon. Every night, watch locked into place with mathematical rigidity, which leads directly to how Enoch calculated shadow lengths on the equinox. Calculating the exact day of the equinox without modern optics was considered impossible. Atmospheric refraction distorts the sun at the horizon, tricking basic shadow sticks. Enoch's text solved this by establishing a precise ratio between daytime and nighttime hours. The Book of Luminaries measures day and night in 18 distinct parts. On the equinox, the ratio locks into exactly 9 parts light and 9 parts darkness. As the sun moves through the gates, the ratio steps incrementally by 1 part per month. This linear division bypasses complex trigonometric calculations completely. If you've ever struggled to understand why ancient builders built alignment structures, comment equinox below. By locking shadow angles to specific gate numbers, priest astronomers never missed solstice days. Roman sundials frequently required manual recalibration every few decades due to drift. Enoch's grid required 0 recalibration across thousands of years. It provided an absolute mathematical ruler for solar time. Yet this elegant system disappeared from European scholarship overnight. It was deliberately scrubbed during the consolidation of religious power, which brings us directly to the Council of Nicaea and their official ban. In the 4th century, church leaders convened to establish a unified liturgical calendar. The central dispute was determining the exact date for Easter every year. Enoch's 364-day solar calendar meant Easter would land on the exact same weekday perpetually. The Roman Church preferred a lunisolar system tied to variable spring moons. Variable dates granted ecclesiastical authorities power to declare holy days annually. A fixed solar calendar removed clerical authority over time itself. Enoch's books were branded apocryphal and ordered removed from canonical collections. Possessing copies of the text became grounds for excommunication and heresy charges. Make sure to subscribe to the channel so you don't miss future history breakdowns. Copies across the Mediterranean basin were systematically rounded up and destroyed. The mathematical tables were dismissed as dangerous angel lore. Within 2 generations, European astronomers lost access to the gate ratios. The Western world reverted to flawed calendars that drifted out of sync over centuries. Historians assumed the Book of Enoch was lost forever to destruction. They didn't account for an isolated kingdom high in the Horn of Africa, where the complete text was preserved untouched inside mountain vaults. The Ethiopian Orthodox Church maintained the Book of Enoch within their official biblical canon. Ge'ez scribes copied the astronomical tables character for character across centuries. Isolated by mountain topography, they ignored Western Council bans completely. In 1773, Scottish explorer James Bruce retrieved 3 complete copies. When European scholars translated the Ge'ez text, they were stunned by the math. The astronomical chapters were not vague mystical visions. They were dry numerical logs. The ratios for daylight progression matched northern subtropical latitude physics exactly. This proved the tables were recorded at a specific geographical location. The text preserved exact seasonal lengths down to the single-day intercalary offsets. Linguists verified the Ge'ez text was translated directly from much older Aramaic originals. Not a single mathematical ratio had been altered by copyists over 2,000 years. The Ethiopian vault had preserved a prehistoric astronomical manual intact. Modern astrophysicists eventually decided to run Enoch's solar gate numbers through computer models. What they uncovered matched current satellite telemetry for Earth's axial tilt, connecting ancient parchment gates directly to space-age calculation. When researchers input Enoch's solar gate proportions into modern orbital software, something shocking happened. The 18-part day-night ratio curve matched Earth's axial tilt of 23.4 degrees. The gates correspond to specific solar azimuth angles along the eastern horizon. Enoch's coordinates place the observation point near 31 degrees north latitude. That matches the latitude of Jerusalem and Mount Hermon precisely. The text contains exact data for solar position without telescopic instrumentation. NASA satellite telemetry records the exact solar year length as 365.24 days. Enoch's base grid of 364 days leaves a fraction accounted for by the intercalary corners. It is a mathematical projection grid designed for practical zero-drift timekeeping. Ancient civilizations didn't lack astronomical sophistication. They were forced to abandon it. Political censorship replaced functional orbital math with administrative lunar calendars. The Book of Luminaries proves that advanced solar geometry was recorded millennia ago. It wasn't a primitive myth. It was a pre-modern orbital manual, scrubbed from history because it was too accurate for institutional control. The mathematical proof remains recorded in the text for anyone who calculates the numbers. And the final verdict on who suppressed it is clearer than ever. When institutions hide the numbers, you lose control over your wealth, and the same exact thing happens inside your own household. Instead of guessing why your bank account shrinks, you can audit your monthly routine bill by bill with a clear, structured guide. Inside O Vazamento Silencioso, you will find a concrete breakdown showing how small, untracked fees turn into massive annual losses. It walks you through practical steps to audit subscription traps, energy leaks, and inflated service fees in just one weekend. Once you plug these 12 hidden drains, you keep thousands of dollars in your pocket every single year without changing your lifestyle. Scan the QR code right here on the screen, or check the first pinned comment below to grab your copy and regain full financial control today. The ultimate suppression was not a clerical error. It was a deliberate erasure of precision. Institutions demanded control over the calendar to control economic tithes and holy days. A predictable 360-day solar grid stripped religious authorities of their power to adjust dates. By forcing a lunisolar system, priesthoods maintained sole authority over intercalary shifts. Enoch's text laid down raw geometry that required no human intervention or monthly decree. That independence made the Book of Luminaries an existential threat to centralized empires. When you lock the solar gates, you solve the ancient equation without leap year drift. The 4 seasonal markers act as self-correcting hinges built into the Earth's orbit. This wasn't mysticism. It was advanced orbital mechanics preserved in religious wrapping. The censors buried the mathematics, but the Dead Sea Scrolls brought the proof back to light. Every modern calculation confirms the symmetry Enoch described thousands of years ago. They wanted a system that required constant repair, not an eternal solar clockwork. Subscribe to the channel right now if you want to uncover more suppressed ancient science. The evidence shows the original calendar was never broken. It was intentionally discarded. The mathematical puzzle that stumped historians was sitting in the Apocrypha all along. And the final truth of who sealed these records is finally laid bare for modern eyes. Enoch's Book of Luminaries remains the most precise calendar document of the ancient world. It proved that ancient astronomy reached mathematical heights we are only now validating. The 364-day solar loop solved the intercalation crisis before empires corrupted it. If you made it to the end of this investigation, comment the word Solstice down below. That single word proves you saw how the censors hid the true solar gates from history. We break down these forbidden manuscripts every week with relentless technical detail. Subscribe to the channel so you never miss another deep dive into hidden apocrypha. The solar matrix was built to stand forever without human manipulation or political edits. The question is no longer whether Enoch was right, but why it took millennia to admit it. Drop your thoughts in the comments and let us know which suppressed text we cover next. Every fragment recovered brings us one step closer to the original astronomical truth. And right here on my channel, we have another video exploring how we rebuilt the actual ancient solar instrument. Go check out that video here on the channel to see the physical proof in action. It demonstrates exactly how the 6 eastern solar gates functioned in real physical space. Did the priesthoods hide this knowledge to protect their authority, or out of pure ignorance? The math was real, the calculations were precise, and the record stands unbroken. White American man in dark navy shirt in studio, stern expression, pointing at glowing scroll, low evening light, medium shot, I'm Corbin, and we'll see you in the next investigation.